Yo. Hey. What's good, fam? It's your boy dwayzeonblaze. You know the name, you know the face, you know the time, you know the place. And today we're back again with a brand new react. Matter of fact, we're about to get into something I've been seeing lately. You know, people having discussions about saying America always rejects South African rappers, and Mzansi A-listers did a video about it. Just a thing where it feels like South African rappers just never get their shine from the US. Like, we're always looked down upon. They don't take us seriously, and this video is about to get into that. So hey, shout out to Mzansi A-listers. Let's get into it.
And so there's been mixed views about whether or not South African rap stood any chance of breaking out to markets like the US, with previous generation of South African rappers having had a tough time having an established base in the US, and the current generation apparently being more likely to be a contrast.
I want to say, out of these three, I think like Blacky is probably the most likely to break the US market. I think Blacky, the thing with Blacky, he has a combination of all the things you need nowadays to be able to blow up internationally. Like, I think, you know, Blacky, he's very, very versatile. He does piano, he does hip hop, he's big on the underground, like on the SoundCloud scene, and he's mainstream. Like, he caters to such a broad audience, you know. He caters to young, like your young kids, and then you also caters to those in their 20s, maybe early 30s as well. So personally for me, Blacky, I feel like has the most potential, because I feel like he resonates with all the things that make an artist big today. Also, he has that personality too. He's very good with the social media. He knows how to push his stuff on socials. So I think he's the strongest contender to achieve that.
As they seemingly had some numbers, and although small, showed consistent.
Okay, I just realized that I'm watching this on... Yeah, okay, let me just turn the speed down. Okay.
Gains. But as we start to analyze the rappers that would be considered to be in the top 3 in the South African rap fraternity, those small gains may be reversing.
Hey, shh, don't say that, Sydney. Don't say that.
Although there may be some arguments about who's in the top 3 of South African rappers, for the purposes of this video, we've enlisted Nasty C.
Yeah, I would say this is the
Blacky,
top 3.
A-Reece
Blacky, Nasty,
order,
A-Reece.
based off of their fan
Definitely the
bases
top
and
SA hip hop
cultural
artists.
impact. All 3 of which did have some gains in the US, either based off of organic reach and or features with US rappers. Starting with A-Reece, at his peak, A-Reece had listeners in 9 cities in North America. And although there were basically a few hundreds in each city, with the exception of one, A-Reece has now lost 7 of those cities and only remains with 2, being LA and Miami.
Let me tell you what the problem I think is with Reece. I think the problem with Reece is that he doesn't really go on these like long promo runs or anything. He kind of is quite quick with these releases. He drops maybe a visual, drops the album, does a show here and there. Like, it's nothing too crazy, you know. Drops another visual again. Like, he doesn't like go on this whole like publicity run, PR run, you know. He just kind of keeps it simple. So I think with Reece, that's probably a good reason as to why the numbers don't really stay up, because the people who really listen to Reece consecutively and consistently are his fans, you know. So I think with him, when he doesn't really do promo and he doesn't really push his music like that, or it doesn't market it as much as I think he should, I think a lot of the casual listeners fall off, and then it just remains his usual demographic that listens to him. But yeah.
Whereas Blacky had 27 cities
Yeah,
in North
yeah,
America
yeah,
and has
yeah.
lost 20 of those cities and now remains with just 7.
I want to say that's because for me personally, Blacky went quiet for some time. When he was hot, and then he just dipped and he chilled for like a few months. I think that sort of hit his numbers a bit. But I think it was a well-deserved and much-needed break. But at the same time, in this game, if you take a break, bro, even for a second, things change like this. There's a new guy, there's another guy doing numbers. Your numbers automatically start to go down. Like, people don't wait anymore. People just go on to the next thing. So you got to be consistent. You got to be quick. You got to be alert. You always got to be moving. You always got to be coming with something, dog. As a rapper these days, bro, dude, it's a tough grind, bro. It's a tough grind to stay relevant and to stay at the tips of on the tips of people's tongues, you know?
Nasty C had 30 cities and he has lost 20 of them, leaving him
Jace,
with 10 cities in which he still has listeners at the moment.
for me, Nasty, there's no excuse that he should be losing that much listenership. I think Nasty is our prime top tier rapper. He can't be falling, well, not falling off obviously, but he can't be losing that type of ground, you know? Nasty's supposed to be the guy who takes us to Valhalla, you know? Who takes us to the promised land. But he hasn't quite managed to do that. The only person who's really managed from this era to take their success and make it an international success, who is in South African, I would say, who's an up and comer, is like your Tylers, your Focalistics, Uncle Waffles. Like, those are the ones who've managed to take their grind and blow up overseas. And they might not be fully established overseas. Well, I think Tyler at this point probably is. But Waffles and who else did I say? Oh yeah, Waffles and Focalistic are kind of established. I don't know about Foca though. He is kind of established internationally, but I wouldn't say his name is really like on the same level as a Davido yet, or a WizKid or Burna Boy or something like that.
The same can be said about Google Trends. All these artists have dropped significantly from their peak, and searches have stagnated.
Not
These
dropping
stats
enough
show
music.
the reversing of gains that the current generation of South African rappers had made overseas, and more specifically in rap's #1 market.
Tyler took all their
which
plays.
has gained quite contrasting views, as critics believe that South African rappers are not authentic enough to break into such a market, whereas their sympathizers blame the decline.
I think
of
Blacky is
hip-hop on
authentic
a global
enough
scale.
when he
It was
wants
on
to
the
be.
A-listers made a video about Nasty C's gains being reversed.
Another thing, I think McLaren could also do it, especially McLaren. I think McLaren is very versatile, very unique. He could appeal to the streets overseas. He can appeal to even just that category of artists who are just, they have a unique thing about them. I think McLaren also fits into that, like artists who might have a unique voice or very unique style or very unique sound. Like McLaren can fit into that. I think there's space for him internationally as well.
And whether or not his label was failing him, subscribers had interesting takes. Some even going back to what Not had said, saying the label didn't fail him. The fact is just that the American market is not for him. Yes, he sounds like them, but so does every other upcoming rapper in the States. Nasty C has to add a more South African feel to his music, so it resonates.
That is
Tyler
kind of
still
true
has
though.
a South African feel because of the accent, which still hasn't changed. Nothing about
And I don't think, I don't think Tyler necessarily has a South African feel just because of her accent. I think that Tyler appeals more to South Africans because she does Amapiano, she does Afrobeats. She appeals to Africans as a whole, globally, internationally. She does the dances, she's a dancer, she's a good performer. Like, you can understand why Tyler can capture a global audience because there's a lot more in Tyler's package than most rappers. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think more authenticity is definitely needed.
Nasty C's music, say South Africa. So he entered the US scene just like any other rapper from there, and he got blown in the wind. The American market is tailored by its people.
That's rough.
For its people.
Don't say
and
that.
This is just the result of that. And many others reference guys like Costa Titch and Rick who had used
Costa's another one.
in their hip-hop music. Together with
Costa's another one. Costa's another one I believe could have broken internationally because Costa also, he had something authentic about him. He wasn't just making hip-hop or SA hip-hop. He was mixing in the piano. He was coming with the dancing as well. He had a aesthetic, a look, like, he had brand identity. I think Costa had all the things that a South African rapper needs in order to blow overseas. Costa, they even though he was a white guy, he represented South so strongly. You know what I'm saying? You could tell that was a South African kid. The way his swag was, the lingo, the aesthetic, the nuances in the music, the way he articulates things, the way he presents himself, the way he presents his work and art. You could tell that Costa was, might not be a black guy and to represent black South Africa or whatever, but he was doing that, which was dope. And I think that's, as much as we have rappers who do their thing in vernac and all that, I think you need the whole package still. You also need the superstar feel to you, as well as the authenticity as well. It shouldn't feel forced, and it should feel organic and new and fresh,
Producers did work with, some even including Lemonade by AKA and Nasty C as a reference. Some did make suggestions.
Nasty C needs to make more music like Lemonade.
A lot of these rappers
He'll do
fare well
so
in
well.
Africa is because there aren't a lot of people who sound like them. Whereas when you now take the same formula to the States, it sounds average. American South African YouTuber Mantamane had some take on this topic as well, saying that most people in the States don't value things that aren't from the States the same.
That's
as
true.
In, if it isn't from America, then it gets
They value it
discredited.
more.
But interestingly, also mentioned
Oh,
that
yes, I see what he's saying. Like, if it isn't from America, they don't take it that seriously. Like, if it's not hip hop from America, they're gonna be like, whatever, man. That is what it is. But if it's something different and authentic, they're gonna look at it and be like, that's interesting. Who's that? Oh, he's different. Whereas if you give them more of what they already have, they're not gonna appreciate it because they already got it. They already got it like that.
hip-hop is nothing they haven't had before, suggesting that a different sound may fare better, and even mentioned that Nasty C should not be opposed to doing Amapiano, as that can
more
increase
Afro
his
beats.
chances of breaking into that market.
The thing is, guys, I need to wipe these. The thing is Americans are weird, bro. Like, we're weird people. Anything that comes from outside of the United States, we feel is not good enough, or we feel is not credible sometimes. And like, I'm not speaking for all Americans, I'm speaking for a lot of them. You know what I'm saying? I'm definitely, you guys know I'm definitely not in that category, but a lot of Americans
This
are.
man
that
has
way.
always
Like, if it's
appreciated
not from
SA
here,
music and culture, bro.
like, they tend to discredit it, or it's not good enough, or it's not on the level of American. And I think that's the problem. And I think that I'm going to use 21 Savage, for example. 21 Savage, no one knew he was British. You know what I'm saying? No one knew that he was from the UK or anything like that. He kind of just lived in Atlanta and he blew up here that way. So I feel like it would have been a different story for him if he was making music in the UK and then came here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. Central C, for example, fire artist, bro. Lit artist. Picture him if he did it 21 Savage way. Like, if he actually grew up in Atlanta, Central C would be like huge in the United States because he's talented, bro. He's nice. So it's definitely not the talent of Nasty C. It's just the way that.
You see, I kind of disagree a little bit with what he's saying. I don't believe if Central C started rapping in the US and blew up there that he'll be any bigger than he is today. I think him being from the UK actually makes him bigger because he's coming with something different. He's not trying to rap like a US person. He's not trying to do drill like the US. He's doing his own thing. That's where I think Americans give it more attention, when it's unique and authentic. Not to say they'll push it to the forefront, but they'll give you more of an ear. But if you're just going to do hip hop that sounds exactly like their hip hop, they're not going to pay any mind, because they're going to be like, cool. Oh, he's from South Africa. Then they hear music that sounds like it's from the US and they'll be like, he sounds just like us, whatever. On to the next, So, yeah.
I don't know. It's just the way that Americans are when it comes to things like that. I mean, it's weird. Like I said, it's weird, y'all. It's definitely weird. And I feel like those two examples are the perfect way I can explain it to how, you know what I'm saying, that how we are. Well, not we, because I don't fit in that category, but just how Americans are when it comes to things from another country. You know what I mean? It's just like it gets discredited, or they just
They're
automatically
picky and
assume it's
choosy.
not as good and things like that. And I feel like for someone that is from another country right now, you have to come with a new sound.
Yeah.
Like,
that's what I was
just
saying.
come with something different. Hip hop, it's played out. Like we've heard it. It's not nothing that we haven't heard before. You know what I mean? So I think that is the problem now. And that's why you have these Sexy Reds and you have these other artists that are blowing up because they're being different. You know what I'm saying? Like they're being different. Like I don't even know how else to explain it. You can't name another artist that was like Sexy Red. You know what I mean? I keep mentioning Sexy Red, not because she's this amazing rapper or anything. It's just because she's different. You know what I'm saying? She's different.
Is Sexy Red really different? Like, what's different about Sexy Red? I think the thing about Sexy Red, what makes her so prominent now, is that I think she represents the times and the type of woman in her demographic. She's like such a solid representation of her demographic. And not to say there's never been anyone like Sexy Red, but I think there's never been somebody who fits so perfectly with the common ratchet woman like now. You know what I'm saying? Sexy's super famous, but you know, she gonna act like she's still from the hood. She probably still live in the hood just for the fact that she just like the hood. You know, getting knocked up, baby daddies, what. Like Sexy just represents that. I just say she represents that ratchet demographic. Let's leave it at that.
And I think that's what it's going to have to take for someone outside of the country to bring that, to be able to be like Tyler, for example. Water blew up because Water was something different. Like it feels like R&B for us. Like it sounds like R&B, but it's different as well.
Afro
you know what I mean?
beats.
It also gives like a 90s vibe, like a 90s R. She also gives like 90s. I feel like Nasty C can break the international. Yeah, of course. Of course I can. He definitely has the talent. He definitely has,
Excuse me.
you know what I'm saying, a good ear for music and everything. And he showed his versatility on his last album. Me personally, I just feel like he should bring more of that versatility, bring more sounds, bring different, you know what I'm saying, bring different sounds. You know what I'm saying? Don't be opposed to coming out with that Amapiano song. You know what I'm saying? Don't be opposed to coming out with, I mean, I think he does have some Afrobeat sounding music. But Amapiano, don't be opposed to coming out with that Amapiano. Bro, it's different now. It's 2024. You know what I'm saying? Hip hop has been on a decline. And you know what I'm saying? If you want to stand out, if you want to get that audience, like if you want to go international, I really think Amapiano is the way. And I say that because Tyler, for example, and I just being in the States, like on the radio, most of the time we hear. I don't think he has to fully go Amapiano, but R&B.
He can do more.
I'm hearing Tyler's Water song, or I'm hearing some type of Afrobeat song
now and again.
You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm hearing here. And they'll occasionally play some hip hop. And if they are playing hip hop, you know who they playing. They're playing Drake.
Lil Durk.
They're playing 21 Savage, J. Cole. You rarely hear Kanye. Or they'll play Travis Scott. I'm trying to think of someone else I've heard. But you know what I'm saying? They're playing the main artists that we already, you know what I'm saying, that's already established that, you know what I'm saying, you can play in hip hop.
Sway Lee.
They'll release a hip hop album and everybody gonna listen to it. Drake, 21 Savage, Travis Scott, Kanye West, J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar. You know what I'm saying? Those people, like, everybody's gonna listen to them. You feel me? The Baby released an album. Not everybody's gonna listen to that album because like hip hop is not everybody cares. Like not everybody's gonna listen to that album no more. Who else? I don't know. I can't think of nobody right. But the Baby is the best example. Like, ain't nobody great to listen to the Baby. I'm not gonna be like, I'm about to listen to that new the Baby. No, I'm not listening to the Baby. Like, it's not happening. You feel me? Lil Baby. If Lil Baby releases albums, people gonna listen to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Durk.
Like, people listen to them. They've already kind of established.
Young Boy seems to be on the decline lately.
Things like that.
But who knows?
But I feel like for Nasty C to break the U.S.,
Cardi,
I personally think that he has to come with a different sound. And it's not to say that that hip hop, he's not good at hip hop. He's great. But
hip hop is just not it anymore.
Like Central C, for example.
Not the main focus.
Central C is a great rapper. But at the same time, I'm not hearing Central C on the radio. You feel me? Like, it's tough for anybody out.
Okay, for me personally, I feel like Central C is a hard case because that Sprinter song went crazy. Let's not act like Sprinter didn't do a madness last year. Um, with Central C, I think he is relatively big in the US. He's bigger than Nasty C, that's for sure in the US. Um, he's bigger than a lot of guys, bro, even in the US. So I don't think Central C is a good example because I think Central C is an anomaly. He might not be at the top tier of US rap, but he's definitely got a big fan base, especially from that Doja song. Like, I think, and that's the thing. He came with something unique and clever lines. He was witty. The sound was more UK drill than US drill. So you can understand with Essential how he managed to garner that US fan base. But I do think that he's still doing well. I do think he plays on radio, just not that much.
Outside of the US to break into hip hop in the US when the hip hop is declining in general. So I feel like you have to come with a different sound. You have to come with a different sound. I mean, that's my opinion on this. Yes, Def Jam is failing because like we should already been having a Tyler featuring Nasty C or Nasty C featuring Tyler. We should already had that in the works. They're from the same country. Like
that's true.
You know what I'm saying?
And so far, out of the top three, Blacky seems to be the one that embraces Amapiano beat more, which has led to many thinking that he's more favorable to break out internationally out of the three that we mentioned.
I think he will.
Ultimately, arguments were made that
and he's the most
Africans
consistent.
do not need America, but in as far as hip-hop is concerned, America is to hip-hop what South Africa is to Amapiano. So it does matter a lot. You can't be a successful Amapiano artist if Amapiano's capital doesn't even recognize you. Let's have a frank conversation about it. Legendary South African rapper AKA once said that trying to make it in America is a waste of money. And we couldn't find a Twitter response at the time of making this video.
I disagree that trying to make it in America is a waste of money. I do think there's a market. Like I said, you can look at Waffles, you can look at Tyler, you can look at Black Coffee, you can look at Anati who works overseas. You can look at a lot of guys who are, like Costa was one of them at the time before he parted or departed. Yeah, man. So I do think there is a market there. It's just that you're not gonna sell. It's like selling water to a lake, right? You know, like America has enough hip hop. You don't need to sell them more hip hop. They're just not gonna buy it. But if you come with something different, like Amapiano, which is, let's say, you're selling now fish to a lake. A lake's gonna be like, okay, I could do with more fish. This is a fish I don't have. Come to my lake. I know that's a weird analogy, but you know what I'm saying. It's like you cannot sell water to the ocean. You gotta come with something different. There's plenty water in the ocean, right? Plenty rappers in the US who sound like US hip hop artists. So don't come to America sound like a US hip hop artist. Easy.
But do you think hip hop in South Africa will ever be a global thing? Or will it remain a local genre together with its rappers? As this generation proved to be the closest any generation has ever come to breaking the South African rap genre global, but seemingly fell short in the last minute. Current stats show that South African rappers are not getting anywhere near breaking this genre internationally, whereas
Well, yo, bro, that chart just made it look terrible, bro. Come on, it can't be that bad. Come on.
there are guys like Baby Dayz who has seemingly been pushing in the States and has even got a DM from A$AP Rocky. So there may be some hope for the next generation.
If Baby Dayz is the man to take us to the promised land, then I'll know we're really in a different time, bro. Nothing against Dayz. I love Dayz, but I don't know. Dayz is more of a fun rapper to me. He's not too serious, like I said in the reaction I did. But hey, if it is, more power to him. At the end of the day, he'll still be waving the flag for us. But yeah, guys, I think I'm just going to leave it here because I don't think there's any more. Oh, I guess I'm almost finished. Let me just finish quickly.
But you let me know what you think about this. Is this as far as South African rappers will go, or do you think there may be still some hope that boundaries will be pushed? And the artist sponsor for...
Okay, let's leave it there. I don't want to make this video too long, so hide it, my guy. Yeah, so Personally, I do think that the next generation will do it. Like, I've felt every generation of hip hop has gotten closer and closer to breaking internationally. For every generation of South African hip hop, artists have come closer to breaking internationally. Like, if you look at just from, you had Dumi. I think Dumi was one of the first to really, Stogie T was one of the first to really go overseas and do tours and go to America and all these things. He was one of the first to like try his hand at that market. Then you had the generation of, I would say, AKA Casper, Questa. I would say then they came in the game and they attempted, like, they had a bit of a closer run. You started seeing them on like Sway in the Morning, Shade 45, all these things, Breakfast Club. Then you got your Nasty C's, your A-Reeces, although A-Reece should be doing more internationally, but like that's a conversation for another day and that's been had many times. But yeah, A-Reece, Nasty, MT, this is this current, I guess, generation at the top. They've come close. They've done the freestyles. I won't say they've done too much touring, but they've gotten deals that are some way internationally, how could I say, somewhere internationally connected in a sense. But this next generation, your Blacky, your, who else? Your McLaras, your Tato Souls, your 25Ks. I think this generation is more likely to start doing a bit more to go overseas and a bit more overseas. But yes, with every generation, I feel like we've gotten closer and closer. And then the Jay Katanas and Lil Nosebleeds and Kill Brady's and Young Kid Reezy's, they might be the guys to actually now fully go overseas. But I think it's not gonna get there if we're not making music that's authentically South African. I just don't think SA hip hop is ever going to be huge in the States if somebody's not doing hip hop along with piano, along with Afro beats, along with other genres. If they're just doing hip hop, I don't think it's gonna work. But if they're blending all those genres together, or they double and dabble like Blacky does, then I think it's more likely. But anyway, guys, yeah, I know this was a long video. Yeah, so let me know in the comments how you feel. Will South Africa ever make it in the US market when it comes to hip hop? Yeah, let me know. Anyway, it's been your boy dwayzeonblaze. Catch me in the next one. Yes, sir.
Whoa. Scorpio on audio.